Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating sociologists.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to the DATEABLE podcast. Surprise! We're back for another episode of Brunch Talk, where we dig into your burning dating questions, your dating conundrums, whatever it is you're going through in your dating life. We're here for you, and you're not alone.
No, you're not.
Never alone.
Never. And the one today, the question we have is so freaking relevant. I love ones that are just so culturally in the zone. In pop culture, in culture as a whole, make it to our inbox.
Makes it very relevant. Hopefully it stays relevant forever. We like to create evergreen content. Before we get to the question, just very quickly, thank you for all the reviews you all have been sending in on Apple Podcasts. This recent one is so good. It's titled Brunchable. Yue and Julie are so great. I usually get very sick of dating podcasts within a few episodes because they are repetitive or preachy or salesy. But these ladies have nailed the perfect mix of racy and relatable and full of values-based, clear-headed advice for finding your person. And then also said, I love the Brunch Talk. Shorter form episodes are great for listening to something quick and juicy. Thank you for that wonderful review.
Love it. Just a reminder, as we've said a few times, if you want to get your Brunch Talk question to the top of the pile, submit a review and put your question right in it.
And speaking of the question, we will get to the question. Is it okay to use ChatGPT for dating app messaging?
More context that we got in from a listener. I've been noticing lately that a lot of opening lines feel a bit generic. With the rise of AI and ChatGPT, do you think this is what's happening? Is it ethically okay to use AI to start a conversation on a dating app?
I've definitely used ChatGPT for many things, and I wonder if I were still doing online dating, I would use it for that as well. I don't necessarily think opening lines or being witty on dating apps is absolutely necessary for making a connection. Wouldn't you rather have someone respond to who you are and not who an AI is talking or creating? I don't think there's anything ethically wrong with using ChatGPT, but I do think it does make the connection less authentic.
I agree. I think the opening line, I would have less weight on that than if the conversation was to persist from ChatGPT, unless it was actually called out. I was reading this article recently that people on Tinder were saying, like, we're going to create a poem for you with ChatGPT. And I think if someone said it like that, it couldn't be the whole conversation, right? It could only be a subset of the conversation. And if they actually said it as almost like a joke that they were using it, then I think I'd be okay with it. But if I was having a full-on conversation with a bot and then learned about this later, I do think there would be this level of, I don't know about that.
It's kind of similar when people hire dating coaches to write their dating app messages. It feels just really inauthentic. And also, are you going to show up a different person? What is your end goal here? Are you just trying to get someone to keep chatting with you? Or do you want to make an actual connection? If your goal is to build your fan base and have all these people laugh at your jokes over messaging, think you're the wittiest person on the apps without ever meeting them in person, sure, yeah, use ChatGPT. Use it to practice your stand-up material, that's fine. But if you're looking for a person to meet in real life, it's the same concept. It's just like, why would you outsource something that's representative of who you are?
Okay, so here's the only case I will make for using kind of this outsourced material on dating apps. We all know dating apps can be a slog, right? There's a lot of people that you go through and you have very few that sometimes lead to an actual date and connection. Not saying that that's the best approach, but it's an approach that many of us do take in dating apps. So I see the benefit, especially for an opening line maybe, of just casting a wider net. Like I remember when I was using dating apps, I didn't actually go through people's profiles all that much. Like I would do a pretty generic line. It was still coming from me, but I'm like, if I'm going to be the one to reach out, I want to just send something, kind of put the bait out there and then let them take it, not spend hours crafting this perfect message for someone that may or may not be interested, may or may not be active on the date, may or may not be seeing someone else and further along in the process. So I do get this effect of just like, how do you get the ball rolling? And I could see it being good for that. That being said, I feel like Bumble used to have this opening lines section that kind of reminds you of the same thing. Like you would hit a button and it would send this opening line. And I feel like I got very few responses back from that because people could tell that they felt forced and fake. So I think if you are using ChatGPT, like it can't just be like type in what's a good dating opening line and then get something back and send it. I think that's going to come across as pretty obvious.
What people tend to forget about AI and ChatGPT in particular is that it's recycling material that's already in existence online. This is not new material. It is not unique. It is not customized. It's just recycling of old shit. Do you really want the image of you to be recycled material from someone else who may have used an opening line like that? I personally don't want to be that person. Like, I want to come up with my own unique material. So that's important because ChatGPT is not magic. It's just recycled data and recycled content. The other side of this is I feel that people need to lean one way or the other and be transparent. I think we are getting to a place in how we use technology these days is we are very clear from the beginning. This entire conversation will be written by ChatGPT, or I am a real human. I am writing this conversation. My friend who is a serial entrepreneur, he had this idea that with a future dating app would be you have your own AI, everybody has their own AIs, and your AIs talk to each other until the AIs match, and then you have a human conversation. That to me makes so much more sense. It's transparent, and you're saying up front, it's not me talking, it's my AI representative.
I love that because I agree. It's like there's so much of this before meeting that gets people down. And if we could save our social energy for just meeting, that could actually be a great thing. At South by Southwest, I actually met someone that was a dating ghostwriter. So they were practically ChatGPT, but a human. But it was them at the other side of the screen, not the person you thought you were talking to. And it was actually quite fascinating talking to her, though, because she was like, I basically filter out all these people that are never going to be a connection. Like, if they can't hold a conversation whatsoever, they never ask anything about me back, or me, in quotes, whoever the person is, then I know this person isn't someone that my client wants to invest more in. So I thought it was actually quite interesting that they were kind of giving them the ball once it was ready to go. And the idea that you just had is exactly that. Or your friend had.
Yeah.
I will give you credit.
Yeah. Oh no, did I just give I just gave away his secret and now he can't build his multi-billion-dollar company. But I'm sure someone's already working on it. And this is just the future of I like this question because we have to think about a future with dating with AI. It is unavoidable. We are headed in that direction. And as we've always said on this podcast, when it comes to technology, we either use it in our benefit or we blame it for everything that happens. And so this is our opportunity to use AI to our advantage. There are so many advantages to using AI for that. And I also think that the technology is getting better and better. If I were single and I were dating and I was working on getting over rejection, how to deal with rejection, I would practice conversations with ChatGPT in the form of, hey, have a conversation with me over text, but end it with you rejecting me. Just so I get used to the no's,
Yeah.
Just a little dress rehearsal before you go in for the real thing. Have those rehearsal times with an AI.
Yeah. Or I love this idea of using it as a way to be more romantic, like that poem idea.
Yep.
How cute would that be? Or, you can use AI image creators, right? You could make someone something. Like you could say, hey, I'm not a poet. I have no skills in this department, but how fun would it be to try out writing each other a poem? I think that is very different than having like a misleading conversation. And I don't know, I think about that situation that was a few years ago, and a lot of people have done this, bots that basically will message on behalf of them. And it's pretty much the same thing. It's just allowing everyone to be able to do this. And I remember one of my coworkers talked to this guy that was an infamous bot. Like he had sent out hundreds of messages and they actually dated from the whole thing. And I remember just being like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I get like that he didn't really like form a connection with anyone but her. Like it was clearly him that showed up for the date, but there was still something like kind of felt like a little like scammy to me or something. Like I don't know how I would have personally reacted to that.
It's a little transactional.
Yeah.
I like to hear the entire story from beginning to end. I want to ask my partner, what did you think of me when you first saw my profile? What stood out to you about my profile? But in this situation, he wouldn't be able to answer it because he was not there from the beginning. And that's the part that I find a little less romantic. But hey, to each their own. If that works for you, it works for you. It's like hiring a matchmaker, same thing.
Yeah.
You're not there for the introductions, but someone's doing the legwork for you. And if it works, it works. Good for you.
That is a good way to put it, the legwork. So before, I want to talk about what do you do when you're actually in the situation that you feel like you might be engaging with ChatGPT. But before we do, let's take a quick break for a message.
This episode is made possible by Drizzly. Color clashing's in, crochets are trending, and Y2K fashion is back for who knows what reason. But your favorite drinks never go out of style with Drizzly, the #1 app for alcohol delivery. Drizzly has you covered with the largest selection of beer, wine, and spirits delivered in under 60 minutes. They won't judge you for drinking last season's cocktails. Maybe you can't be talked out of participating in the 2000s revival, but at least they can get you out of wearing those jelly platforms to the corner store. With Drizzly, it's easier than ever to find a timeless classic or shake it up with something fresh. Need something special to impress a trendsetter who has it all? Give the gift of drinks with Drizzly, because you can't buy wine the wrong size. It's a no-brainer. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today.
We are so excited to share with you our new podcast, Exit Interview. Dates don't usually end with a satisfaction survey, and yet we rate everything in our lives, from Uber drivers to local coffee shops. So why don't we do the same thing when dating?
We're here to conduct the ultimate romance review, featuring daters hungry for love who have agreed to call up old flames to gather honest feedback.
Welcome to Exit Interview.
He upgraded himself to business class while I was in economy.
Wait, what?
There's feedback that will make you cringe.
She could be a little bit hard-headed, like not reading the writing on the wall.
And feedback that will make you swoon.
When she said that she had feelings for you.
I had no idea.
Really?
And maybe you'll learn a thing or two yourself about how you can be a better dater, lover, or partner.
Obviously, knew I was going to learn something. I didn't expect this.
Welcome to Exit Interview.
Listen to Exit Interview on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, so let's say you are interacting with someone and starting to feel a little generic, starting to feel like this might be generated by a computer or AI. What do you do in that situation?
Can you just flat out ask, are you AI? Are you a bot? Prove to me that you're real. Oh, maybe that's a good question. Prove to me that you are a human.
You know what, though? I've had a few guys ask me that before, and it comes off kind of weird. If you actually are. Like, if you're using AI, then...
Right, that's true.
I'm wondering, like, you could even say, hey, with all the rage of ChatGPT lately, wouldn't it be funny if that's how we were communicating? And then, like, is that how we're communicating?
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to call out someone who's actually a human being behind the screen.
You're like, I'm just boring and generic, sorry.
Can we take a step back and ask, how do you know if you're engaging in a conversation with AI? Would you know? I don't know if I would know.
The only thing is, probably depends on how good the system is. I personally haven't used it enough to necessarily know this. I feel like sometimes you can tell when something doesn't feel human because there's, missing words in it, or the punctuation is weird, or it feels too formal, that it doesn't feel conversational at all. I don't know, maybe ChatGPT is beyond all that, but that's probably how I would feel like maybe this isn't a human talking to me.
Or if it's too witty.
Yeah. Like it just feels fake. I don't know.
I can tell when my dad is using it, though, because his English is not perfect. And when he types to me with ChatGPT, it's extremely formal and the grammar is just perfect. So I know he's using it. But if someone, like you said, if it sounds a little too formal, if there are certain words that people just would not use in normal day conversation, that might be a red flag.
But to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's no way to like hook up ChatGPT to your dating app, right? You would just be messaging someone, then putting it in ChatGPT to get something back, right?
As far as I know, yes.
Someone's working on it.
Somebody has probably hacked it.
True.
To link it up somehow. ChatGPT can be reading your phone and then responding. I think that's one way it could do that.
Well, because I think the bot situation, I remember I actually engaged with the same guy that ended up dating my coworker. And it felt weird. Like the conversation didn't flow right. It felt like he was very not really answering questions and then just bridging to the let's meet up for coffee. Because clearly there was a numbers game that was happening to try to get people in real life. So maybe when the conversation doesn't seem to be flowing correctly, that could be a sign. Like you asked them something and they asked you something totally different.
Right. It just doesn't feel natural.
Yeah.
You know when it can feel natural. I hope that people aren't using ChatGPT for the entire conversation. I'm really hoping it's just a first line, first few lines, and that's it. And then you take over. I really hope it's not like the entire life cycle of your conversation.
There's definitely a line there, but I saw this article about how a girl used ChatGPT as just as an experiment on Hinge for a week. And basically people stopped responding to her. She said the response rate was not good.
Oh, shit. So AI failed.
Yeah.
I will say this again. AI reuses content that's already been used. So you're reusing other people's failed lines.
I feel like we should load up a dating app just to try this out, to do this experiment ourselves. I'm very curious how it would work. Like the whole thing.
Yeah. Talk about being authentic. Julie's like, I really want to create a profile.
I'm like, I have no intention of dating you. I'm in a committed partnership, but I just want to test out ChatGPT. I'm sure people are going to be lining up to talk to me. My profile pic isn't even real. I'm AI generated.
Just do AI everything and see what happens. Do an AI, like A/B test it. AI generated profile.
It's kind of scary. It kind of makes me have the same cringe reaction to VR dating when people are just avatars, that we've just dehumanized the entire thing. I think the only way it would be semi-acceptable is on that opening line, like something to just get the ball rolling. That's the only way I think it would work, personally.
Agreed. I think that's the only way as well. But who knows? Maybe there are other use cases that we're not sure of. Maybe it's like the opening line and the how to close. Yeah, how to close the conversation, how to get the conversation offline.
I also feel like we could give that statement right here that people could use. Like, do you really need AI for either one of those? I just feel like it would be like Bumble again, like something really cheesy. Like if you were in the apocalypse, like what would you bring with you? Or something that you're just like, this is not how humans talk to one another. Is it really going to be better than, hey, how's your week been? Like something generic.
I wonder then if we should do a real life experiment.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's type in...
Let's do an experiment.
Dating opening line.
I'm a woman looking for a relationship, currently using Bumble. What is a good opening line to hook someone who is also relationship minded?
Okay.
See, I want to be as specific as possible.
I can't wait to see what we get back. Okay. It's going to be terrible. What is it?
How do you envision your ideal relationship? I'm looking for someone who shares similar values and goals for the future.
Oh my God. If someone ever messaged me that, I would not respond. I would have been looking for that. No, it's terrible. This is the problem, right? It gets very formal.
Can you try again, but less formal?
We'll try
this one more time.
I would have tried moving it to text after.
Oh, yeah.
Give us the good stuff, ChatGPT.
Oh, shoot. Now I have to pay. Sorry. I'm on the app.
This is when AI stops.
I ran out.
Right there. So I guess you can't do a whole conversation unless you're paying for it. We learned something today.
Like, you mean I have to write it now?
I mean, after they gave such a great opening line, why would you even want a second one? That was just pure gold right there.
Right?
See, this is the problem. This is the problem.
I'm going to be on desktop. This is free.
How do I move a conversation from app to text?
I'm on Bumble talking to someone I really like. How do I move the conversation from app to text?
Okay, drum roll. So curious.
Oh, wow. Oh, Julie.
What does it say?
Wow. It's a 5-step process. Step number 1, gauge their interest. Before asking to move the conversation to text, make sure that the other person is interested in continuing to talk. Step number 2, share your number. Step number 3, ask for their number.
Oh my God.
Step number 4, confirm the number.
Dare I ask what step number 5 is?
Okay. Start texting.
I mean,
wow.
I don't know if you're any further now than you were when you started with that answer.
Okay, one last one. What's a good opening line on dating apps? I saw in your profile that you love hiking. Do you have any favorite trails in the area? Or I notice you have a picture with a dog. Is that your dog or did you borrow it for the photo?
But what happens if they don't like hiking or don't have a dog? You're screwed. You can't send that to everyone.
It gave you a few.
You might as well look at their profile at that point. You basically have to go back to square one with that.
I love your smile in your profile photo. It seems like you have a great sense of humor.
I mean, okay. I feel like I would sometimes tell people like, oh, I like your smile. Like one of my friends said that she always said that to guys and it worked. So I tried it once. But like, why would you need ChatGPT to tell you that? Like, doesn't that just seem like an obvious?
And I wouldn't say it seems like you have a great sense of humor.
How would you know that?
You have a great smile.
We haven't even talked yet. Yeah. I think ChatGPT needs to listen to Dateable, needs some relationship tips before it guides everyone. Just saying.
That is your answer.
I'm so glad we did this real time because we have proved our theories that this is not an effective way to date. More than I actually thought we were going to prove them. I thought it would just be generic sounding, but now they actually just create more work for you. Like, it doesn't even help you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's your answer. Just don't use
just
it.
Say, hey, how's it going? Like,
you'll
just
save
say,
time by not using
or,
it.
I want to move this to text. Like, it's not that difficult. We don't need to overthink it more than we already are. Well.
Okay, good enough. Good enough. We got that question answered. We beat it to death, literally, but that is how we feel about AI and dating. I'm sure we'll have more questions about this later. Thank you for sending that in. You can send in your questions by emailing us hello@dateablepodcast.com, or you can DM us on Instagram @dateablepodcast is the handle. Or the third way and the best way is to leave us a rating and review in Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars and you can ask a question right there. We'll bump your question up to the top of the list.
Yep. Using AI or not.
Or not.
Okay.
Either way, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Media Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram @Dateable Podcast and visit dateablepodcast.com for access to all the episodes and our premium programs. Also, make sure to subscribe today if you haven't already on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform so you are the first to get all the latest episodes. And most importantly, stay dateable.
At Kroger, we want our fresh produce to meet your expectations, which is why we're dedicated to doing up to a 27-point inspection on our fruits and veggies, checking for things like scarring. In fact, only the best produce like zesty oranges and crisp carrots reach our shelves. Because when it comes to fresh, our higher standards mean fresher produce. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Save big on your favorites with the Buy 5 or More, Save $1 each sale. Simply buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.